What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Jadeveon Clowney has been traded to the Seattle Seahawks for Mingo and Martin, and the third-round pick will also go back to the Texans. As you know, I was the first person to report that Texans were set to trade Jadeveon Clowney. I was the first one to report that last week, and it's finally come to fruition. Now, the Texans, in my opinion, should have tried to get back an offensive tackle because that's where they're really weak at both tackles position. Actually, they're kind of unproven at those two positions, but especially the left tackle. Didn't get that. They needed to get a running back too because Lamar Miller's out for the season. Didn't get that, but they did get two defensive tackles in a third-round pick for the #1 overall pick. You know, you got Bill O'Brien is a de facto general manager, and he made this trade. We'll see how it plans out. Hopefully, the Texans will try to get a running back. You know, I heard that, what I've seen on the wire that LaShawn McCoy has been released. So hopefully the Houston Texans will go after him to bring in a running back that can help out their running game. Because basically after Duke Johnson, they have a lot of guys that are unproven, at that position. So we'll see what takes place. But it wasn't really crazy about this trade as far as the Texans go, especially when you was hearing them talking about going after Tunstro, the left tackle from the Miami Dolphins, a guy that had made Pro Bowl before, and a guy that's probably the best player on the Dolphins roster. I was hearing they was going to go after him. I think the Texans even offered a first-round pick with Jadeveon Clowney to bring in Tunstro, which in my opinion would have been bad. I think that would have been overpaying for him. You give Jadeveon Clowney a #1 pick, a defensive pass rusher, Pro Bowler for another Pro Bowler on the offensive tackle. Both of those positions are prime position. I thought that should have just been an even swap if they was willing to do that. But the Texans was so desperate to bring in an offensive tackle, I think they attached a first-round pick along with Clowney to bring in Tunstro. But the Dolphins didn't want to make that deal, so they went to Plan B, and the Seattle Seahawks was the one they made the deal with. Now, Seattle gets a prime pass rusher in Jadeveon Clowney. They lost Frank Clark, and they lost last year. He went to Kansas City to play for the Chiefs, and Jan Reed is going to be on a 6-game suspension, so he won't be ready. He won't be playing in the start of the season. So now they get a premier pass rusher to go along with on that side of the ball, to go along with the other side of the ball, and Russell Wilson, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Seattle thinks now that they can compete with the Rams in the NFC West. As you know, they made the wild card last year. So I think it was a great trade for Seattle. They just gave up a third-round pick for an elite pass rusher, a guy that can play the run, and they gave up a couple of solid defensive players, and but nobody that's Pro Bowl bound players. They didn't lose. Mingo is a solid linebacker, but they've got other guys that can step up in his place. Mingo is a guy that had a great college career at LSU. A lot of people thought he was going to be one of the top linebackers to come out of LSU, because LSU is known to bring in some real good linebackers. But so far he's been solid, but hasn't lived up to quite the press billings that a lot of people thought he was coming out of LSU. We'll see once he gets in Romeo Crennel's system, will he be able to, produce like people thought he was going to produce coming out of college. He's going to be an outside linebacker. He'll be probably backing up Whitney Merciless and give him that pass rusher, as he's had 10 sacks in his career. So he has shown the ability to rush the passer. Then you can play him on maybe a little bit behind Cunningham too, so he's a versatile player. He'll be able to help him. Jacob Martin is another guy that can help him on defense. The Texans are pretty solid on the defensive line. They just needed another pass rusher if they was going to trade Clowney. Mingo would be able to add that to the Texans' repertoire as far as pass rushers. They'll go along with J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless, and go along with those two guys. So I think Mingo will fit in good as far as that goes. But I just thought the Texans needed an offensive tackle and a running back, and they didn't get neither one. So maybe they'll be searching the waiver wire as teams are cutting, making their last cuts, and maybe they'll be able to bring in a guy that can maybe provide them with some depth as one of the tackle at both of the tackle positions. So we'll see how it plays out. But again, Jadeveon Clowney has been traded to the Seattle Seahawks for a third-round pick, Mingo and Jacob Martin, and that just went down a few minutes ago. So this is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.